What's good, everyone? This is Justin Just Rock Ramon from the Just Right podcast, where elevation is our recreation. Super excited for you to check out our next episode. But before we get into it, there's a very exciting adventure I'd love to invite you to this summer that is organized by our good friends over at Highlander Adventure. From June 17th to the 21st, Highlander, a hiking event series with over 20 events worldwide, returns to Big Bear Lake, California for its fourth epic year. Choose your challenge from 14 to 82 miles and experience between a 1 to 5 day hike through the San Bernardino Mountains with all the logistics and safety taken care of by the organizers. Celebrate your daily achievements each night at beautiful campgrounds that feel like a festival in the wild with yoga, massages, fireside talks, and stargazing. Get 20% off individual registration except Lyra format with the code JustTrek_HL20 at checkout on HighlanderAdventure.com. And on top of all that, yours truly will be in attendance trekking the trails with everyone. Now to get back to the episode, the live podcast show featured an all-star panel of previous podcast guests that included Joshua Walker, outdoor content creator and travel blogger, Nicole Snell, CEO of Girls Fight Back and founder of Outdoor Defense, Victor Martinez, founder of LA Trail Killers, Jaclyn Cosgrove, outdoor reporter at the LA Times, and myself as the moderator. It was an entertaining, inspiring, and impactful group conversation that left a major impression on the audience. We chatted about what sparked their love for the great outdoors, the importance of solo travel, their most memorable outdoor adventures and travel experiences, and what the historic LA fires have taught them. After the group discussion, we opened up a live Q&A to the audience so that everyone could join in on the fun and ask the guests their own questions and show them some love. In addition to this YouTube video version you are watching right now, we have audio versions available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and on all the other major streaming platforms. You can find those links in the description. All right, let's get to trekking and get into this episode. All right, everybody. Welcome, first and foremost, to the 5-year anniversary of the Just Trek podcast. For those of you not familiar, I go by the name Justin Just Rock Ramon, host of the Just Trek podcast, founder of the Just Trek crew, and it's so special to have you all here for the beginning of Earth Month. 5 years of inspirational guests, 5 years of the most loyal listeners, and 5 years of the special passion project that has just immersed me in the most special community, the outdoor community. And before we bring up the panelists, I do want to share briefly my story. And my story is the power of reinvention and finding my true north again. Originally, I'm from the East Coast, Baltimore, Maryland. I moved out here back in 2004, so I've been here quite a long time. That's over 2 decades. And I originally come from the dance world, the dance community. And I was an event producer that organized street dance competitions, battled with my crews all over the U.S., and I was also a talent manager in that community. And that was my life for a very long time, y'all, maybe 13 plus years. And then I stopped dancing, and that left a massive void inside of me, which led me into a really deep depression. And that very void eventually led me to exploring our local trails and to help also improve my physical fitness at that time. And so the past 8 years, I've just been on this life-changing journey of rediscovering Los Angeles and Southern California through the great outdoors, through our local trails, our mountains such as the Santa Monica Mountains, the San Gabriel Mountains, Angeles National Forest, San Bernardino Mountains, and all the surrounding areas. And also exploring our local parks like Griffith Park, Kenneth Hahn, and all the several gems that we have here, as well as the green spaces in and around LA County. And it is the major reason I have fallen in love with Los Angeles all over again. It really has reinvigorated my soul, my creative spirit, and healed me from that deep depression. Through this hiking and outdoor transformation, it led me to creating my own hiking group, known as the Just Trek crew, back in 2019. We'll be celebrating our 6-year anniversary of that project in August. And then 1 year later, at the height of the global pandemic, as you remember, or probably don't want to remember, I launched the Just Trek podcast on March 31st, the same day as my birthday. So the podcast and my birthday are always forever intertwined now. The show has grown so much since 2020, and we've just had such a diverse array of guests, from wildlife photographers, international DJs infatuated with outer space, LA Times bestselling authors, hardcore mountaineers, and even recently an esteemed tribal elder who presided over the burial of the celebrity mountain lion P22, if you're familiar. And now I can't wait for you all to meet some of the most special guests we ever had on the show. We're about to bring them up one by one, and I need you all to make as much noise as you can and show them all the love. Y'all ready? All right, so let's get this podcast officially popping and started. First up, this individual is a SoCal-based trekker, outdoor adventurer, solo world traveler, award-winning international speaker, creator of Outdoor Defense YouTube series, and is the CEO of Girls Fight Back. We have Nicole Snell, a.k.a. Adventures of Nick. Welcome, welcome to the grand stage. All right, second up, this individual is locally respected and worldwide connected. He is an LA native-based trekker, trail runner, backpacker, solo world traveler, community leader, founder of the LA Trail Killers, and is most definitely a fan favorite. We have Victor Martinez, a.k.a. Volcano Vic! He's trail running to the stage, y'all. Get that jogging, playa. Next up. Wow, these two are matching. You got the memo. I definitely didn't get the memo. Next up, this individual is an LA-based trekker, outdoor reporter at the iconic LA Times, and is the staff writer for the beloved publication The Wild. We have the super talented wordsmith, Jaclyn Cosgrove, and her doggy Maggie May. Let's go! I believe Jaclyn was our most recent guest, because I just released a solo episode last week. The last but not least, this individual is a SoCal-based trekker, travel blogger, diversity and inclusion advocate, and is an outdoor influencer and content creator who has worked with notable brands such as REI, All Trails, LOB and Coleman, and many more. We have Joshua Walker, a.k.a. Josh You Trippin'. Do the panelists need a cold beverage before we start?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Please.
could we help them out with that? Summer?
Actually, I'll take a beer, please.
I'm a non-alcoholic situation.
Yes, I'll take
please.
alcohol. Non-alcoholic, please.
Thanks, Summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, before I forget, shout outs to the sponsors. There's a lot today. We got All Trails. We have Keen, Parks Project, Topa Designs. We have Parched Non-Alcoholic Agave Cocktails, June Shine, Easy Rider, Happier Camper, TADAA.Coffee. All right, y'all. So thank you all on the panel for being a part of the third ever live podcast show. We did this format the past 2 years, and we just had to bring it back because it was such a big hit. And a quick note to all the audience. As we conversate up here, you'll have an opportunity to ask the panel a question, and that'll happen during the last 10-15 minutes as we'll conversate here for the next 30 minutes or so. All right, so to get things started and to warm up the audience to our special guest up here, we can start with Nicole Snell to my right. Can each of you share a bit more about who you are and the type of work that you do or that you offer within the outdoor space?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Justin. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. Are you all enjoying it so far? Amazing. My name is Nicole Snell. I'm the CEO of Girls Fight Back and the founder of Outdoor Defense, and I travel around the world teaching self-defense, empowerment, boundary setting, and personal safety to women and people of all genders in a variety of industries. I work with the military, colleges, high schools, corporations, outdoor groups, brands, etc. And basically my platform is that fear exists out in the world, and I want to help people alleviate their fear so they can open up their world and live without limits, because we shouldn't have to be limited by outdated stereotypes or, fear-based narratives that try to keep us small and restrict ourselves. Oh, you can't go solo. You can't wear this. You can't wear your hair like that. You can't be in this place. I instead want us to be empowered and confident to go out and live life on our own terms. And it's very near and dear to my heart. And the outdoors has always been a part of my life. And so being able to have those two things working together, the empowerment and self-defense with the outdoors, is just my passion, if you can't tell.
Thank you, Nicole.
I'm a big fan, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been following for a while, so I know everything you're talking about is something that's also very important for me to preach about getting out there solo and not being scared, and especially for the ladies who, it's definitely a taboo or stigma to, travel on your own, especially being from the United States where, I don't know, I think like parents are just more stricter than other countries like Europe and, Asia. People actually go and travel. So me as a solo traveler, by the way, my name is Victor Martinez, in case you didn't know. I like to encourage people to get outdoors on their own, get out into the world on their own, take solo trips and travels, because I think that you get a better understanding and deeper connection when you do so. Instead of, like when you're with friends, it's kind of hard to do so because you're always worried about the other person. Are they enjoying themselves? Are they, having a good time? Do they even want to do this? Do they like this food? And all that kind of stuff. So whenever you travel on your own, it's kind of better and easier to make connections and be able to be a little bit more adventurous, because you're making all these mistakes and on your own and learning from them. And you take the wrong bus and you got to worry about somebody else going somewhere else. So I think that's something that I like to preach about traveling. And when it comes to the hiking world, I like to encourage people to try out new trails, to not always do the same one over and over. I like for people to get out their comfort zone and explore new trails and take road trips, go camping, and get their friends out there as well. I grew up born and raised in South Central LA, and a lot of my friends really are not into that kind of stuff, but it's been my mission and continues to be my mission to encourage all the homies to get out there with me. And, I've made a lot of really, really amazing friends through Instagram, just through the LA Trail Killers handle, and people have just randomly DM me, hey, when's your next hike? And I'm like, oh, here it is. And we start planning a hike just with a random stranger, that I just met online. So that's been really fun too. But also encourage your friends to get out there with you. If there's people that you haven't talked to in a while, and maybe because you have this new outdoorsy lifestyle and, you kind of left your coworkers behind, or now you don't talk to certain people, holler back at them and see if maybe you can get them back out there with you. So that's also something. And trail running, yes, we talked about, I do that too, I forgot.
You do a lot, brother. You do a lot.
Yeah, so trail running is something that I've been getting into as of late, and I'm very blessed to be doing it with a lot of cool friends. Noemi and Anthony, where you guys at? We have a race coming up, and we're training together. Hopefully we do okay on that. And yeah, so encourage people to get outdoors in that way as well. So there's so many ways you can do it. Camping, traveling, hiking, running, however, just get out there, give a moment back to yourself, get away from the city and the noise and the traffic and the pollution and all that. That's my mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Volcano Vic. That is his trail name, by the way. Y'all like that?
Victor, don't get murdered when you're like meeting strangers on the internet to go out in the wilderness. Just a little concerned. I don't want to write about you. Okay.
Got real dark real quick.
LA Trail Killers headline.
Yeah, apparently the journalist on the panel. Hi, my name is Jaclyn Cosgrove. They, them. I'm an outdoors reporter at the LA Times. And I write The Wild. It's our weekly outdoors newsletter. It is free to subscribe. You can subscribe at LATimes.com/thewild. So you don't have to be an LA Times subscriber. I understand it's not in everybody's budget, but you can get free. I write a lot about our local trails. I live close to Angeles National Forest, so that's really my happy place. And, I just, with The Wild and with the other writing that I do, I just want the outdoors to feel doable, to feel approachable for everybody, to feel safe for everybody. And so you won't find that shaming culture that you can see on Instagram with me. A lot of times I'll write 3 hikes to blah, blah, blah. Like this past week, it was 3 hikes to really enjoy spring colors. And so I have 3 hikes, and then I always have an accessible alternative, so that if you have any mobility issues or have a friend who does, you can go check those out. I try to make it close to the other trail that I'm recommending. Always welcome to feedback as well, or your favorite trails, whether accessible or others. But yeah, I love the LA hiking community. I love the diversity of the community and all the different ways. I love all the different hiking groups and that you can just find friends everywhere. And like, it's really cool. So I got to meet a reader on the trail this past week. She was like, "Do you write The Wildest?" And I was like, "Yep, that's it." And she was like, "Your name is Jaclyn?" And I was like, "Wow. Oh, yes, that's me." I was just, I never know if people look at the byline. So anyway, I love what I do. I can't believe I get paid to hike. It's wonderful. Always looking for new places. And yeah, just really happy to be here. Justin is one of the nicest people in this community.
And also, thank you for featuring us this past Thursday in the LA Times in the Wild. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Walker. I'm from Josh U Trippin' on Instagram. I'm one of those people that slides into DMs asking for hikes, so I won't murder you, though, I promise.
Good start.
Yeah, right. I started my account back in 2017 when I realized that I'd never been out of the country. I'd never really done anything. And when I started my page, I was looking up hashtag travel blogger on Instagram, and they were all white blonde girls who did not look like me, and I wanted to find someone who had perspectives in different places that could affect me or talk about what my experience would be like when I was traveling abroad for the first time. So I took it upon myself to kind of like share what my experience would be like authentically as a black man, as a black gay man traveling. And then the pandemic hit and I got scared of COVID. And so I turned my attention to the outdoors, which is obviously a really great place to be, not only just for our mental health, but when talking about representation. As Justin mentioned, I am a DEI advocate. I work in entertainment DEI, which stands for Didn't Earn It, if you guys didn't know that. So it's been really important for me to focus on representation in the outdoors because I'm a big proponent of if you can see it, then you can be it. And when people are, especially people who look like me, my friends, my family, people from where I grew up, I'm from South Carolina, we associate the outdoors with racism, with our very racist past in America. So my whole being right now is just showcasing that it is safe to be black outside. It is, you are welcome. You are who you ever want to be in the outdoors. So I just really want to focus on making sure that people know that it's okay to be yourself in the outdoors. So working with brands, I think has been a really great thing to do that because, again, when I first started hiking, I would walk into places like REI and look at all the marketing and no one looked like me. So I didn't really feel safe or welcome in the store. So I've appreciated the change in the industry over the last few years, but there's obviously a lot more work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh. And what's really cool about Joshua Walker over there is how I met him. I was doing a peak called Cucamonga Peak in the San Gabriel Mountains, Cucamonga Wilderness, and I reached the top, and I saw this guy at the summit peak with an orange shirt, and I was like, "Is that Josh You Trippin' guy?" And I was like, "Oh my, I have to say something," because he also was, I have like a long list of people that I want on the show, and he was on that list. I was like, should I go up to him? Should I not? Should I really bother him? He looks very at peace over there. So I just said, like, F it. Like, let me just walk over there, introduce myself, said hi to Josh. We chopped it up real quick. I think he was kind of taken aback that someone even recognized him that far up the mountain. And then I think I asked him, like, after we conversated, I was like, hey, by the way, I got this podcast. Like, we'd love to have you on. I'll send you more info if you're interested. And the cool thing about this panel up here, each guest has been a previous guest on the show. So it was really awesome to meet you, Josh, on that peak and make this all happen. And now you're a part of the live podcast show.
And also, funny story about the meeting. I was talking to my friend who I actually met on All Trails to do this hike with, and the conversation we were having was awkward because when he walked up, we had just finished a conversation about OnlyFans culture in LA, and how everyone kind of turns to that. And so when he walked up, I was like, "Did he hear what we just said?" So I appreciate that meeting.
I think I remember you mentioning that to me afterwards. Freaking hilarious.
Was it like rather to do an OnlyFans in the outdoors?
How
or?
everyone tends to go to OnlyFans when they lose their jobs.
I mean,
all right, as you all clearly see, we got quite the panel up here, an all-star panel for sure, and got jokes. So all of you on the panel, you all clearly have a strong connection to Mother Nature. So I want you to all take us back. What sparked your love for the great outdoors? And we can either go down the line, or if someone feels so compelled to speak first, Do go ahead.
So I'll go first. I think since I was a kid, my dad would take us out to Griffith Park all the time to play soccer and to do some short hikes. And, you know, as a little kid, you're always like digging through the bushes and looking at the berries, and you're seeing all the details rather than just, you know, doing it for the exercise. As, you know, as an adult, you kind of get lost in that. I need to finish this so I could go back home and watch whatever, you know, like that part. I think is the thing that kind of sparked my love for it is, you know, seeing all those details as a kid, looking at the berries, looking at the dirt, playing in the dirt, playing with the insects. And one time a snake popped out on us, and my dad saved us from the snake. You know, those kind of memories that I had as a child really, I think, kind of fueled my love for the outdoors. Now as a grown up, I was, you know, I had gotten away from it, but then I decided to just start a hiking group when a lot of friends were always going to my DM and say, hey, you know, how come you don't invite us on your trips and on your travels and blah, blah, blah. So then I just said, I'm going to create a page and let's see if you show up. And some of them never, or yeah, they don't show up. But yeah, I made a lot of new friends, like I said earlier. And then starting LA Trail Killers kind of rekindled it. I started LA Trail Killers 8 years ago. Yeah, so
That's
it's
a long
going,
time.
Yeah. So 8 years ago, just with a random picture and saying, hey, who wants to hike? And, you know, send me a DM. Yeah, so that's kind of how I started it. I was, you know, just send me a DM if you want to hike. And ever since then, you know, here we are.
Thank you, Vic, for sharing your response. Who else we got?
I'll start. I grew up on a farm in South Carolina in a town called Barnwell. So less than 5,000 people. And my childhood was literally spent outside. We didn't have mountains in South Carolina, but I spent so much time in the woods. I was a really shy kid. So I would take encyclopedias and like just books I got from the library, just outside identifying bugs and, you know, picking up lizards and putting my finger in their mouth. And it's just like really weird things as a kid, but I really, really loved the outdoors. And I remember my first summer camp, I had to beg my parents to let me go to it because it was mostly, my first year I was the only one of two black kids at the camp of over 100 kids, and my parents were obviously nervous about letting me go there, but I just had such an affinity for the outdoors. And I mean, I blame my dad for it, for keeping me outside all the time anyway, but they were nervous about getting me out there. But I've always just had a really big passion for the outdoors. It is my safe space. Like whenever I find myself getting stressed out about LA and just life, I'll go out to the mountains for like a weekend and come back feeling like just completely better. So I understand that nature is definitely beneficial for our mental health. So I love the outdoors ever since I was a kid.
Yeah, I grew up in a town of less than 300 people. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in the woods, and it was a place where I felt safe, you know, just to be me. I didn't know I was like a little queer kid in the middle of nowhere, but it makes sense now. My mom looks at pictures and she was like, "How did I not know?" In a loving way. But yeah, I think I just felt safe running around with my dogs. We had these big Great Pyrenees dogs; they were huge, and we had hundreds of goats, and so I would just be hopping around on my dad is a hay baler, so he has these big round bales, and I'd be hopping around on those, and so I just think that's where it was safe. For a lot of reasons, and I just loved the freedom to just do whatever I wanted. And I'm with you, like, you know, when my wife and I first moved here, we lived in Koreatown, and I loved living in Koreatown, but it's also the most densely populated neighborhood in LA, and so there's a lot of people, and so I would just go out to like Angeles National Forest, and just, it's amazing to me that you can drive like 30 minutes from LA and be completely by yourself. Like yesterday, I was over hiking from 3 Points to Sulphur Springs Trail Camp in Angeles, and I was just like looking around, and I was like, how am I by myself right now? This is just so strange that there's 10 million people here. It's amazing. I feel so lucky that we live where we live, and there's so many public places, and you know, well, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but we got to protect them.
For sure. I grew up loving the outdoors. I have similar stories to all of you where I was out collecting rocks and playing in the dirt and catching lizards and begging my family to let me keep them and going out and I grew up in the desert in 29 Palms. I don't know if anyone knows where that is. All right, yeah. My dad was a retired Marine, and so he was retired before I was born, and so that's where I grew up. And you would think, since Joshua Tree was right there, we would go all the time. We didn't. My family wasn't very outdoorsy, but we lived where there was a lot of open fields and a lot of washes, so I would explore the washes and, look at all the different plants. And, for me, the outdoors was safety. Safety, it was freedom. I love that you use that word. I feel free outside. I feel connected outside. Outside is meditation for me in a lot of ways. And so we grew up in the desert, and my aunt lives in Toll House. Does anyone know where Toll House is? Do you know where Fresno is? Yes. It's like 45 minutes up the mountain. So it's in the western Sierras, kind of near where Shaver Lake is. And so we would go, it felt like we were there every summer, and we weren't. We were there maybe like 4 or 5 times when I was little, but it imprinted like core memory time. I remember just looking in my aunt's house, and it's surrounded by trees, and she had acres of property, and we could go out and hike and walk, and they had dogs, and at home everything was very strict, but my aunt was like allowing me to explore and letting me touch things. And there's a lot of poison oak out there, so there was a rule with the dogs. You only pet the dogs on the head, and if you wanted to pet them on their back, you had to put on the poison oak gloves so that you wouldn't get poison oak on your hands. And whenever you touch the dogs, you had to come in and wash your hands. So, but there was no fear. It was just information, and it allowed me to explore. And when I became an adult and didn't have any restrictions on what I could do, it was like you weren't going to stop me. I love just going out, exploring a new trail, like you said, being outside somewhere where there's nobody else around. That feeling of peace, that feeling of almost like it's just for you. Like you're there, and these moments in nature get to be just for you, and those moments is so special.
Yeah, sometimes I just make weird noises. Like, just
oh my
'cause you
gosh,
can.
me too.
I'll just be like, there's no one here. And I could just start and the bears are like, what the hell? Another one of those, huh?
That's a good bear deterrent, mountain lion deterrent for sure.
I don't know about y'all, but I talk to myself. Like, I have a conversation full on. And I'm answering my own questions. I think that's key to my mental health as well.
I do full-on performances when I'm by myself. So
I sing Disney songs out loud.
Disney, Broadway, Megan Thee Stallion, anything.
I was singing Fancy by Reba McEntire really loud one time on Mount Baden-Powell, and I was like, I might have been born just playing white trash. And then this family just comes around the corner, and I was like, there's 40 switchbacks on Mount Baden-Powell, and so I had been going for about 10 of them. I was like, they heard me the whole time.
I love this panel so much right now. Thank you all for sharing your responses. And always on this show, we love a good story. Are you curious or craving a backpacking adventure? If so, I got something special for you. Highlander, a global hiking brand, is coming back to Big Bear Lake for the 4th year in a row, and I will be in attendance trekking the trails with everyone too. Step into the wild and challenge yourself on the stunning trails of Big Bear Lake, where every detail from logistics, food, water, and safety are expertly handled so you can focus on the adventure. Choose between 1 to 5 days on the trail and experience the beauty of California's San Bernardino Mountains like never before. After a day on the trail, unwind at beautiful campgrounds where you can find yoga, massages, educational lectures, music, and fun activities. With every detail taken care of from start to finish, all you have to do is hike, connect, and embrace the journey. Use our promo code JUSTTREK_HL20 to get 20% off and individual registration for any format except Lyra. Head to HighlanderAdventure.com and register now. What was one of your most memorable outdoor adventures or travel experiences, and how did it impact you? If anyone wants to take it first.
I have the worst memory, so I need to think. Y'all go.
The very first thing that comes to mind is a doozy. My friends and I had camped outside of Yosemite. There's a national forest campground I love called Diamond O. It looks like it's supposed to be Diamond O, but there's no A. It's fantastic. It's only 30 minutes outside of the gate, and so it's the closest national forest campground there's a little stream, and there's these seasonal strawberries, which means there's bears. Anyway, we had this beautiful time, And we just kept not planning our food well. And like for some reason, it was during like the worst of COVID times. So like a lot of the restaurants in Yosemite were closing really early. So like at one point, my friend was making like a peanut curry stew over her Coleman stove at like 10 p.m. And we're leaving the park, and we just had like packed in everything we possibly could. And I remembered that there was this pizza place that had vegan pizza, because my wife and I eat a vegan diet. And I was like, it's really good. I was starving. We were having some car problems. And we pull up to this pizza place, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And like, I don't see that the American flag is upside down, which was not for reasons that the park rangers are putting upside down. And there were all these signs about guns, and there were all these signs about God, and there were all these signs about the current president. And like, it's two queer people, and my friend is Latina and also queer. And my wife and her were like, hey, maybe we don't go here. And I was like, I'm sorry. And I was just like, so then we went inside. And needless to say, that was the worst pizza we've ever had in our entire lives. And it reminded me that I needed to work on my hunger issues quite a bit after a full day of camping. So just remember to bring snacks.
Moral of that story.
I have a story that comes to mind. It's more of a, it's kind of, I'll just tell you. So several years ago, I did the 4-day Inca Trail hike to Machu Picchu. It was been on my bucket list. I finally just planned the trip. It was a solo trip. I also love to solo travel. I feel like you learn so much about yourself and about other people and your perspectives on life, and just connecting with, new people in new countries is just one of the most amazing experiences that I've had in my life. So I'm doing this trip, and when you hike Machu Picchu, you can't hike it by yourself. You have to go with a tour group that is licensed to lead hikes in Machu Picchu. So they, as the solo traveler in the group, I just got paired with a group of other people that I ended up being the only black woman and the only American in my group. It was a group of Dutch folks from the Netherlands and one couple who was Italian. And so it ended up being lovely. They were just so kind. We would have, I ended up rooming with one of the Dutch folks because she was also the only single person in the group. And she was a lovely tent mate, cabin mate, the whole thing. But they had been in the country and in South America and Colombia for months. So they were acclimated to the elevation. And I had been training out here and doing some of the peaks, but you do a peak, but you're not at that elevation for very long. So I had been hiking, and my endurance was great. Not when you're really, really high and there's elevation. I was humbled, let me tell you. The first day, and that's not even the hardest day of the hike, the first day I wanted to quit. And I rarely ever want to quit, but I wanted to quit because it was so hard. And I was last. I am never the last hiker. Not that there's anything wrong with being the last hiker, but when I'm hiking by myself, I'm always first, right? When I'm
You sure are.
Right? Okay. See, girl, we got this. And then, so I was there, and they were all just way ahead of me, so far ahead of me, it was ridiculous. Like I was walking and they were running. That's how far ahead of me they were. And so I was just depressed. I was like, this is awful. They think I'm slow. They think I'm terrible. And I'm around all these beautiful places, right? The first day wasn't as beautiful as the fourth day, but it was still pretty. And I was just in my head. And then I was looking around and I was like, I'm by myself. I hike by myself all the time. So this isn't really that different. I can just pretend I'm not with that group. I can just pretend they're way up there and there's another group. I'm solo hiking in Peru. And when I had that mind shift, it just changed everything. Then I just hiked my pace. When I got in the first day, the porters and the rest of the group were all cheering for me as I came into camp. And then they're like, the second day's the hardest day. And once you make it the first day, you can't turn around. So once you make it to this point, you have to go. And I was like, okay, I am just going to do this. I'm going to go one step at a time, just 1 footstep at a time. You'll always get there if you just put one foot in front of the other. Take as many stops as you need. And I have big feet. I have size 11 women's feet. And on the Inca Trail, a lot of it is steps. I don't know if you, it's not like a trail. It's a lot of steps that the Inca had made. And the Inca people did not have size 11 feet. So all the steps are very narrow. So I am having to walk like this, sideways down the steps. So my calves were cramping because I'm constantly on my toes as I'm walking, and it's just steps, steps, steps. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. So I did it. The second day was the hardest day. I think the highest point is 13,500 feet, called Dead Woman's Pass, I believe is what they call it. And with the Inca Trail, it's not just all up and then all down. It's up and then down and then up and then down, all on these little steps. So it's 4 days of walking up and down stairs, it felt like. But after the first day, when I had that shift of, hey, it doesn't matter if they're not hiking with me, I'm solo hiking like I've done all the time, and I can do this if I just keep going. And I did, and I made it to the very end. And now anytime something gets hard, I just remember, I did that when I felt inside that I couldn't do it. And as long as I just take one step at a time, hike my hike, take a break when I need, I'll always get there.
Love to hear it.
And my calves were like on fire by the end. Like I couldn't even take a step down, like one step. I was like, nope.
Thank you for that demonstration you did too. We appreciate the visuals.
I'll go. So 2 years ago, I did the 6-pack of Peaks Challenge, the SoCal 6-pack of Peaks Challenge, and I was doing San Bernardino. I was running out of time because it was December and we had a lot of snow that year, and I never really hiked in the snow, so I was just winging it. And I went on Christmas Eve, and I started late. Like I woke up a lot later than I should have. I think in my mind I was just telling myself that I wasn't going to accomplish that hike that day. I don't know what I was doing, but it sucks. It's a 2-hour drive. So I got to the trailhead. I got to maybe like mile, and I was really like confident. I was doing Instagram stories like, I got this. There's no snow. It's easy. And then I got to the snow section, and I was like, I got to turn around because I'm not going to make it today. At that point, it was like, I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so the sun was going to be setting pretty soon. So I was walking down, and I was determined to get back to finish it because I have a really hard time with failure and not accomplishing things. So I went back on the day after Christmas. I got up super early, got to the trailhead. I was the only person there. I was like, hell yeah, I got this. So, like I was saying earlier, I was singing, doing like full-on performances, doing musicals in my head and stuff like that. And it was going really well. And I got to around like miles 6 or 7 or so, and I see this figure out into the distance. And again, there's no one else on the trail. And there's an animal of some kind. And I'm like, that's not a deer. I don't know what is on four. Like, this is too. So I hold back for a second, and it's still like coming up to me. I'm like, what's going on? Right. I thought it was a mountain lion, but it ended up being a dog. I was like, well, why is this dog out here by himself? But then a guy comes around the corner, and he was hiking. He said that he didn't finish the trail because he was getting nervous. It was too much snow, etc. And he had his helmet on. He had his ice axe, crampons. I had my backpack and maybe some micro spikes and my hiking poles. And I was like, I'm still gonna do it. He's like, well, I'll do it with you if you want some company or whatever. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And he actually taught me how to like take the snow slope up and then glissade down. Like I learned mountaineering on that hike with this person. But the reason I love this story so much is that not only were we the only 2 people in the mountain that day, we were both 2 men of color on that mountain that day who summited San Bernardino Peak, which is not an easy peak to summit. So when people talk about like diversity, inclusion in the outdoors, and who can and cannot do certain things, like I was so proud of myself to be representing myself as a black gay man, not really understanding like the ins and outs of mountaineering, but still feeling safe and confident enough to do this with this random stranger that I met on the mountain, and we're still friends today. So I just think that is like a really impactful story to me, to understand that you can't do everything by yourself. Sometimes you do need support, but also there's so much power in community.
And then in the Lifetime movie, you would get married.
He actually just was getting married like 2 weeks later, so wasn't for me.
I was just going to say, trusting the kindness of strangers can be a very beautiful experience.
Yeah, strangers on the mountains, like way better than strangers in the city.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
And you still got to go, right?
Yeah, I
Nick?
still gotta go. Honestly, this whole time I've been thinking, but like my brain sucks at remembering stuff. So I did just look over to my left, and I see my cousin over there, by the way. Shout out Milton. Hey! Working the door. And it reminded me of the story when we hiked in Guatemala.
Ooh, I like this story.
Yeah, so we did this hike, right? It's this hike called Acatenango, which some of you here I know have done before. Yeah, it's a volcano that you hike in order to get a great view and glimpse of Volcán de Fuego, which is an active volcano in Guatemala. It's a volcano that is erupting, well, I don't know about now, but at the time, every 15 minutes. And you feel the power of the earth. You see the ashes in the air. You see the fire and the little lava coming out of it. And it's just one of the most amazing sights in the world. And honestly, one of my most amazing stories, because I can't even describe it. You just got to go. You just got to go. I encourage people to go to do that hike, and we might make it happen because Noemi wants to go. So yeah, there you go. So we're going. So apparently we're going. Yeah. So
we're
anyway.
gonna DM you.
Yeah. Okay. DM me.
All of us.
DM me if y'all want to go.
It's
We'll
all
make it
good.
happen.
This whole panel's going.
The homies from Vamos, I know that they got something cooking up too. So yeah. So there's ways. All right. We'll make it happen. But yeah, so there's this hike, right? And we decide to make it a family affair. We bring my cousin's dad, obviously my uncle, and one of my cousins, and rest in peace, my cousin, by the way. That's also part of the story. Yeah, so we made it a family affair. It's just us four hiking with a guide. We had to do it with a guide that time because they're the ones who take you up to your shelter and kind of get you to the spot where you want to be. I just remember on our way up, my cousin Milton. Milton, how you doing? All right, Milton was dying. I was scared for my cousin because he was throwing up. He was on the side of the trail, just looking like he was a dead body. My uncle, his dad, was encouraging him, like, come on, like he was over there doing the hike in cowboy boots. My uncle, his dad is a native. He's like, come on, this is, like being what did he say? We use this one a lot, Anthony. Being what is it? De los Westerners, it's de los gringos to get altitude sickness. Yeah, so it's like, you ain't white, get your ass up. That's basically, having altitude sickness for white people is basically what my uncle was telling him. Yeah, so it was just a hilarious moment to make our way to the summit. We get to the top, and I just remember somebody handing me like a shot. I don't know who it was, maybe the guide or something. And I tell my cousin, come on, Milton, come outside. It's erupting. Look how beautiful. And he's like, oh, you're not taking me serious, bro. I'm dying. I'm dying, bro. He's like on the bed inside the tent, like not even watching this gorgeous, beautiful sight. They're asking us, hey, so are you guys going to join us for the extra hike? There's like an extra hike that you can do. Yeah, on top of the hike to the summit, you can hike towards the actual crater of the erupting volcano, which is amazing. It's like an extra, I don't know, but you get like within a mile of the eruption. And since no one wanted to join me and my cousin was dying, I ended up trail running it with the guide. And this guy took me in the darkness, just with our headlamp, obviously, but just in the middle of the night. I think it was probably like midnight, 1 a.m., trail running towards the volcano that's erupting. And it was one of the most amazing. I almost fell like 10 times, but I was having a ball. I was crying of happiness. It was just so amazing. We get to the area where you can see the eruption a lot closer, but it wasn't just seeing it. It was feeling that power, feeling the strength of Mother Nature and our how small we are, and that perspective. You really realize, we're just a speck of dust in this universe. And I think that was really enlightening for me because I was able to see, firsthand what the hell is happening beneath our feet. We have, this constant living, breathing rock that we're floating through the universe, through space on. It's just crazy to think about how we're just these tiny little creatures on it. And that really helped me gain perspective. But back to my cousin. He
Milton's like, I'm glad I'm on
he's
the side.
alive, guys. He's alive, and he made it safely down. And I just wanted to mention this story because I wanted to shout out family, shout out my cousin, shout out my uncle, and also shout out my cousin, rest in peace, who's watching down on us right now. And he was able to complete the hike with us. He's a local, and he hadn't had an experience like that. He lived in Guatemala his whole life and basically just lived on a farm and was never able to get out the city and the village. And we were able to bring him out when I went to visit, and that was a really special time for me. So that's my story.
All right. So I want to make this more contextual, and I want to bring us back to the beginning of the year. We as Angelenos experienced the most historic and devastating wildfire in LA history. And to each of the panelists, what has this traumatic experience taught you, and were you personally affected?
I was not personally affected by it. It is interesting because I, again, grew up in South Carolina. We don't really have wildfires. So my mom, who has never been over to the West Coast, doesn't really understand the geography of LA. So anytime there's a fire in California, she thinks I'm burning. But I always told us, like, no, there's no chance there's going to be a fire in LA, so many buildings, et cetera, et cetera. And then this happened. So it definitely taught me that things could change quickly. It was the first time I ever had to pack a go bag, which I thought was really, kind of nerve-wracking. And it's also interesting, too, that this time that we are in right now, the last few months, I feel like we moved from trauma so quickly. I kind of forgot the fires even happened because we're dealing with so many things. So it's just interesting to see the aftermath of it. But I will say, again, going back to community, it was really inspiring to see how LA really showed up for people who were affected by the fires. The amount of people that donated, the amount of people that volunteered, I thought was really, really incredible. So it gave me a lot of hope for humanity, to be honest, but also just how people show up for other people.
Yes, absolutely. I want to piggyback off that and shout out everyone who was contributing to the cause of helping out. Justin was one of the people that came over to the studio. We put on a drive over at our studio, Flow Healing Body and Soul in South Central LA, and we welcome people to come by and drop off donations. And it was really incredible to see people come out just from all over the place. We wanted to make it so that people that didn't have access to get the donations over to the firefighters or to the front lines had a place to go, and I think we really succeeded in that. And just to touch on the fire, I think even though we weren't directly affected, or some of us weren't directly affected, we were all affected somehow, some way. You walk outside and it was so hard to breathe. We all had to wear a mask. We all had to find our way through the city, whatever we were doing to get to work, to get groceries. There was, places where there wasn't toilet paper and all that kind of stuff. There was all kinds of ways that we were affected somehow, right? And I think that's really where, that mutual aid kind of started, is because, we all realized we're all in this city together. And then seeing really on the front lines, the running and hiking community was the best part, because really it was a lot of hikers and runners that were out there. Run clubs and hiking groups were doing a lot of the work, and that was really, really cool. Shout out all the hiking, it was a lot of you.
Hiking helping out too with their donation drive, I remember.
Exactly. So there's a lot of you that are sitting here in this audience right now that were the ones contributing. So, we're the ones that hike these trails. We're the ones that are out there running these trails. So I think we took it a little bit personal in that sense. And we're like, took pride finally in our city. I've always, when people ask me about LA, I always say, it's just LA. But, I'm born and raised here, but it's just hard to find that pride just because I don't see it around me. Like I'm proud to say, hey, I'm from LA, but it wasn't necessarily, like that spirit of other, towns and cities around the world that I know. But I think that really, really grew on me when I saw that. And I can proudly say LA came through for each other. So that was awesome.
I wasn't personally affected. My home is okay, but I know many friends that lost their homes, and that was just devastating to to be there trying to be supportive of someone who's just lost everything. Like, what do you say? How do you help? You know, there's not even words to comfort someone who's experienced that much loss. And I hiked to Parker Mesa Overlook 3 days before the new year. And then I left town. I wasn't actually here during the fires. I was on the East Coast working, and the Palisades fire wasn't near me, and the Eaton fire wasn't near me. But when the Sunset fire broke out, that was within a mile of my apartment. And my neighbors called me and said, "Hey, we're going to have to evacuate. What do you want us to get out of your apartment?" And so I'm sitting in my sister's house in Baltimore thinking, like, I'm going to come home to nothing. And what do you have someone get? Like, I'm trying to think. They have 5 minutes to run in and grab something. So I'm trying to remember, where is my passport? Where is my birth certificate somewhere? Like, what do I have them grab that I would need that's, you know, irreplaceable? Which does not even compare to the people who've lost everything. But that was the first time, like you said, that was the first time you packed a go bag. That was the first time I've had to pack a go bag. I have an earthquake kit and in my house and in my car just in case, but that's more for, like, you know, food and water and some things, you know, if you have to, like, shelter in place for a while. I've never had to think of, I need to just get these things because everything else is going to be gone. And so now that what it changed for me is now when I travel for work, I have to have a go bag ready of everything so that if I'm not home and my neighbors have to grab something, I'm like, grab that bag, and that's going to have all of those things that I never thought I would have to think about. And what everyone else has said about what the fires meant and the positive that came out of it was the positive of seeing the community come together. I think that was the most beautiful thing that I saw, is just how many people donated, how many people were volunteering, how many people were allowing strangers to come and stay in their homes, people who were just giving whatever they had, even if they didn't have much, just to help. And there were places that had to start turning away donations because they were just receiving so much. It was just like seeing everyone come together in this tragedy that we have never experienced, fires of this scale in the city. And so that was the thing. It was just like, no, we are all here in this together, and seeing people find that community and show up for each other, I think was a wonderful thing to see in spite of such tragedy.
That's actually how we first met, Nicole, at the Walker Yard Distribution Center. So that was really cool to meet you
in person.
In a very intentional and giving moment. And I think we have Jaclyn last time.
So the night of the fires, the Palisades fire had already started, and then I subscribed to this local climatologist. His name's Edgar. He does a San Gabriel Valley specific weather forecast that's very helpful for hikers. And he sent an alert that said something like dangerous wildfire in Eaton Canyon. And I thought several expletives because it was already windy. And I got on like Slack and was like telling different people, and that late in the evening, it's kind of like whoever's online is whoever's online, and that's who starts working on stuff. So I started working on it, and I'd been so focused on like reporting and finding information, I hadn't looked out the window. And I'm like 6 miles. Oh my God, I think it's 6 miles south. I think of south. I think of Eaton Canyon, and so. I just like kind of looked out the window and craned my neck, and I was like, it looked like just lava was coming down the mountain. And I, again, said several things I'm not going to say on this podcast, and yelled to my wife, and she looked out the window. And that was just like, I've covered a lot of wildfires. My introduction to California when we moved here 8 years ago was covering wildfire all across the state. And so I've been close to wildfire, but only in like my professional capacity. So at that point, I knew it was going to be like really bad. And I was on the phone with my friend. She and her husband and their little baby live in Altadena. And I was like, I might as well go. Like, just leave. I was like, it seems like the fire is going west, but who knows? And the fire, as we know, ended up going east and west. And so, her home was destroyed. I have other friends whose homes were destroyed, people from my church whose homes were destroyed. And so that's been hard. I think for me, one of the hard things is like regretting all the places I hadn't been to yet, and knowing that all these different, for a lot of us, like the going out in the trails is a spiritual experience. It's important for our mental health, but it's also that connection with the land. I always say, like, I'm not a religious person, but I am a spiritual person. I always say, like, that's where I see God, is out on those trails. And so, it's really special when you have places that you really love, and it hurts when they're destroyed. And so for me, it was just like all that heartache of knowing just how many beautiful places have been, really devastated. Like, they'll come back, but the caveat is that we do have to keep volunteering. We do have to keep, if you can volunteer for a trail crew right now, that's huge. They're starting to get into where the Eaton Canyon burn scar is, like the Low Life Respectable Citizen Club. There's another, if you have a mountain bike, the Mount Wilson Bicycling Association is another one that's doing work where they're starting to work on those trails that were burned. So if you're able to do that, or just even donating to those groups, that's really helpful. Like, that is who's going to, especially with all the cuts to the thousands of people who've lost their jobs from the National Forest. The park rangers got their jobs back. National Forest Service, not so much. So we have thousands of people who've lost their jobs. Those people would be the people who are like going to repair the trails, right? They're gone, or there's a lot fewer of them. And then so it's like those volunteer trail crews were already really important. That's why we have Charlton Flats reopened. That was, like several trail crews spending hundreds of hours to get, Student Falls back together. Like, that's volunteers, like the huge majority of that. And so when you're out on a trail and you see like a bunch of lumber stacked up, that's because a volunteer trail crew did that. So it's like we have to keep volunteering because, and I'm sorry to go long on this, but like I've been reporting about how the land recovers, right? And we all know about like the invasive species that are like just so excited to come back, and they're terrible. And then like if we don't watch it, like the hillsides are going to be covered in invasive mustard, and that it gets tall and it blocks out all the poppies, right? It blocks out all the lupine. It blocks out all the stuff that we really love to see. And so, you can go in there now with groups like Santa Monica Mountains Fund. Sierra Club does a lot of the work on the west side in Santa Monica's, and you can work with them, and they're pulling up that stuff every weekend. They're planting trees every weekend. And it was really cool. I recently went to Chesborough Canyon where they've been doing a lot of work, and I got to see kind of the difference, right? And like the place that they've worked for the place they haven't. Like the place that they haven't, it still looks like ranch land because we grazed the hell out of it when we like allowed that to be ranch land, versus like this beautiful hillside covered in like coastal sage scrub. And like I hadn't got to really see it and see what it could be until I went to Point Mugu State Park. And if you haven't been to Point Mugu State Park, it is gorgeous. It's just incredible. Like I was going through in the hillsides are this beautiful sumac, and the sumac is turning all these different colors right now. And I was like, holy crap, like this is what these mountains should look like, And so we can fight for that. Like we can actually, like you, me, all of us, like if we show up for a trail crew, like we can bring back Eaton Canyon to even better than it was, because, my friends were already ripping out, like I volunteered one day and we pulled out like 2 tons of mustard of Eaton Canyon before the fire, and it felt good. It feels really good to do that work. So if you're able, I would highly recommend it. You don't have to have any special skills to yank a weed out of the ground. If you want to get trained in a chainsaw, you can do that training, but there's also just all kinds of stuff you can do just with your hands. So sorry to go long on that, but I feel very passionate about volunteering.
Hey, bring that passion, Jaclyn. All right, so that wraps up all the questions, and now it's time for the live Q&A portion, and I believe we have a wireless mic that we can utilize so that people in the crowd can ask the entire panel or a specific guest a question. Mark, do we have that wireless mic available?
Test. Yes.
By the way, that's Mark Nieto, everyone. Episode 1 started it off for us.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so if anyone in the crowd has been waiting to ask a question, now is your chance. Just please raise your hand. Anyone have a question for the panelists? Oh, you do? Okay, come on up.
I think that one has a question for Maggie. She's
Anyone
also
got a
taking
question?
questions.
This is a rare opportunity, guys.
There's no dumb questions.
Or not a question, or even just show some love. Oh, could you pass him the mic?
He said, what projects excite us right now? I was talking a long time. You'll go ahead.
Anyone got any exciting upcoming projects they want to share?
Thinking.
Dun, 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 dun,
Or
dun,
projects in the
dun.
community. The wildlife crossing's cool.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about that?
I've been talking so long.
I don't have a lot of information about it, so I mean.
Well, the wildlife crossing just got some dirt put on it. That's exciting. That
Yes,
was
it
reported in the LA Times by my friend Jeanette. I'm in the middle of doing a backpacking project, so I've never actually got to go backpacking. And the cool thing about LA is that you can go backpacking within like 30 minutes of LA, right? You don't have to go like into the Sierras. That's kind of, it can be cost prohibitive. It can also be just like scary. So I'll be writing about how you can backpack in your backyard, and how to do it, and the different. That's why I was out at 3 Points, and I know how you feel. It's not easy being a Yorkie. But yeah, so I'm launching a series where I'll be exploring like how to do different outdoor activities like surfing and backpacking and mountain biking and stuff like that. Just try to empower people to do stuff they've never tried. Have y'all thought of an answer now?
Thank you, Jaclyn.
Not necessarily. Yeah, thank you. Not necessarily.
Dick, you got a lot of projects just popping up. What do you got?
Yeah, but just more so encouraging, everyone in the community to lead by example, because a lot of people are kind of confused with what's going on in the parks and what's going on, out in nature right now. Like, can we even go? All that. I think it's important for us to lead by example, encouraging people to clean up after themselves and not leave a mess on the trails and make it harder for the parks to take care of themselves. Basically, with all these cuts, obviously we have less employees and staff and all that. So I think I just want to encourage folks to do their best to be stewards of the land and not have to rely on others to clean up for us. And like, we are humans, and we are nature. We are part of nature. So with everything that's going on, I think it's important for us to do our part personally, not even look up to leaders, just be a leader and be that example for everyone else. Yeah.
Thank you, Vic. Anyone else want to share? If not, it's all good.
I would say, like, I'm working on, like Kendrick says, sometimes you got to pop out and show people. I don't like to necessarily say what I'm doing until I'm actually doing it, but in the workspace, I'm doing a lot of projects right now in the disability and accessibility space that I'm really excited for the summer, because again, the disability community is one of the most underrepresented communities in entertainment in all aspects of our world. 1 in 4 Americans have a disability, and it's the community that you can join at any given time. So I think just drawing awareness to that has been something that I'm really passionate about, that I'm excited about, continuing on this summer.
Yeah. Thank you. Does anyone else have a question or want to show some love or make a comment to the panel or special guest panelists? There we go.
I don't have a question, but I just want to pour some love over all of you. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I have a soon-to-be 17-year-old and almost 16-year-old, and I raise my babies in nature, and that's just been such a healing space for me, right? And so I don't think I've been this inspired since I went to Indonesia some time ago. And so watching all of you, I'm about to tear up. Thank you for you, and thank you for all you're doing, because we don't always have accessibility to this. So I appreciate your stories and I appreciate your time. So inspirational. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my friend.
Also, you look good. 17-year-old?
Thank you for showing the love. I know the panelists up here appreciate it so much. Anyone else would like to ask a question or make a comment?
See this.
Reach it. Before you ask the question, this gentleman right here, he was one of our previous guests in the show, Cisco, hiker fighter, behind the Pain and Suffer, which is a really crazy name. What you got for us?
Is there a personal mountain that helped you heal from your depression, or something that like Vic, your family, your cousin passed away, anyone, personal that helped you heal? Is your favorite mountain?
Thank you for your question. I would say, for me, Joshua Tree is very special, and growing up out there and enjoying it when I was little didn't mean as much as going back and knowing what it means now. And I would say anytime that I go back there now, I'm able to I feel like it helps me to understand my childhood a little bit better and things that I experienced in childhood. I'm able to conceptualize things a little bit more and put it into context because there's just so much, like there's the rocks and then there's the parts of Joshua Tree where it's just open. Like if you're doing like Lost Horse Mine or something and it's just so open and there's just so much sky. I feel like being out there and sometimes feeling like you're the only person in the world, it just allows you all the space that you need to think and to contemplate and to cry if you need to or to yell if you need to. And in a very physical way, like actually being there. But in full disclosure, I recently lost my father. And we grew up in 29 Palms, right? And so I have pictures of my dad and I very little in Joshua Tree with the rest of the family, and I didn't really understand how meaningful that was until I got older and I understood things like, segregation and all the racism that has happened in our country, and to understand that when he was a little boy, he wasn't allowed in national parks because of segregation. And so for him to be an adult and to take his children to Joshua Tree must have meant so much. We weren't very close, so I never got to actually talk to him about it. But thinking back on those memories, it makes those memories even more meaningful and more healing for me to realize how special it was for him to take us there and for us to have that experience as kids ourselves.
Nicole, just want to say my condolences and thank you for even being here and blessing us with your presence despite that happening.
Thank you.
I want to touch on Joshua Tree, but from like a different way. And thank you for your answer, by the way, and your question. I've taken groups out to Joshua Tree, and usually we host very meditative ceremonies. If y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all don't know, sorry. But
if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. And I think that it's allowed me to kind of get in tune with something more than this physical realm. And I think that that's something that we lose sight of all the time. I mentioned it earlier, the spiritual aspect, which is very, very important for me. Spirituality is not just, talking to a higher power. It's realizing that we are energy, that we are the higher power ourselves, that every day we wake up, it's just like, I'm in this realm, right? But there's more to life than just this. There's, we just came from this dream world. That dream world was also real. Everything is just not what it seems. There's more to life. There's more dimensions. There's more planets than we can count. There's more stars than we can count. It's just infinite. And opening up that part of my brain that kind of wonders and that curiosity of, with all those questions that I want answered but will never get answered is really, really exciting and leaves me always with like just this love and wanderlust for the world. And that's why I keep wanting to explore new places and travel to new worlds, because I want to keep learning, and I'm a student of life because of it. And Joshua Tree is one of those places where I've had a lot of those epiphany moments. So, yeah.
Thank you, Vic.
I would say that the most transformative hikes for me are the usually most brutal. So I always go to Whitney as like the one that stands out the most for me, because I was cussing, myself out, my friend out, the trail out, the whole time. But also, I lost my dad back in 2020, and my first, I don't call it, Runyon was actually my first trail that I hiked in California, but I don't consider Runyon a real trail anymore. And I don't go there anymore. But Latuna Canyon became like my second home up in the Santa Monica Mountains, because I lived right down the road from there. So when my dad passed away, this was in 2020, so I was terrified of traveling and everything. So I remember leading up to it, I went on a hike right away as soon as I found out, and there was so much guilt that I had about being so far away and not being with my family at the time, or not being able to visit his grave whenever I felt like visiting his grave or going with my family, that I found a little spot kind of off trails, off on the side of a trail, where I would hang out my hammock and stuff a lot up on that trail. And I made a little memorial for my dad that it was, no one ever bothered it for years afterwards. So I just really love that area for me. I found so much peace up there. So I just really appreciate that area, because allowed me to process emotions, because I'm also not very good at processing emotion. Like, this is a very vulnerable question for me, but in general, like, I think that was a really great, it is still like a really great place for me to go just to disconnect.
Thank you for sharing that. That is a beautiful place. I kind of have two answers. I talked about this on Justin's amazing podcast. I lost my brother to cancer, foot cancer, in 2018 to brain cancer, and I also lived far away, and so it was really hard because I didn't have any memories in LA with Clinton. And so I sort of felt like I definitely felt a connection with him wherever they go. And so it sort of felt like I was making memories with him as I was doing these really hard hikes. It felt important after watching him die from something that he had no control over, to really use my body and to appreciate my health, because you just never know when like you're not going to have your health. And so I often will yell like, "We're so lucky," when I'm out hiking, because I just want to remind myself through the sufferfest that we are really lucky. I will say lately it's been harder to enjoy the outdoors, just because there's just so many attacks against trans people right now, and I am scared to go home to Oklahoma, although this is my home. And it's just like I can't even drive through Texas because I don't think my non-binary license is legal there. And so I was out yesterday, and I was like, this is so pretty, and I am not seeing it. And I was just like talking out loud to myself and being like, what is going on? Like, why am I not loving the chaparral? Why am I not like, hooray, a yucca? You know, why am I not like hugging a palm tree or a pine tree? Because I sometimes do. And it was just, I was just able to go out there and process that, like, hey, be good. I was able to process that and really realize that had really been weighing on me. So it's sort of like, the hard hikes are really important to me, but it's also just like whenever I'm out there by myself, like it is a moment to check in with myself, especially right now, because it's just every day there's something new. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I feel so passionate about protecting it. Okay, there's my dog. Great.
right behind me. Thank you to each of the panelists for being vulnerable right now. Thank you, Cisco, Hiker Fighter, for that question. I'll even jump in here real quick, but I want to wrap it up and so we can get the dancing and all that. For myself, it was an accidental sunset hike at Sandstone Peak in the Santa Monica Mountains, where I literally climbed out of my depression at that time. I think up there I really felt like a stillness I hadn't felt before in so long. So if you know Sandstone Peak, it's the tallest mountain in the Santa Monica Mountains. Beautiful panoramic 360 views. You could see Catalina Island, Channel Islands. And I think when I was up there, when I just saw the vastness of Mother Nature, it made me realize that I have infinite potential in this life. And also this really peace and calm came over my mind during that time when I was going through that rough patch. Anyways, being vulnerable right there, but yeah, Sandstone Peak was definitely a big healing journey up there. Yeah. Anyways, okay, thank you everybody. Took me back to that moment, to that place.
Yeah.
But
nature is healing. Nature is healing, y'all.
Is.
Get out there whenever you're feeling down. Go on a hike. That's it. Yeah, go on a hike.
Yeah, there's actually like a skill that my wife's a therapist, and she teaches opposite action. So if you don't feel like going out, go and do it. And like sometimes when she's not feeling great and she does something, I'm like, you're practicing opposite action, and I maybe get a look and something thrown at me. But yeah, it's just so important to, there are days when you need to stay inside and rehabilitate, but there's are days when if you just get out there, even if you're running late, even if you slept in, if you can just get a mile in, it really is just so important.
all right, everybody, what a powerful panel. What a diverse panel. Thank you all for your questions. Thank you for showing them all the love. Nicole Snell, Victor Martinez, Jaclyn Cosgrove, Joshua Walker, Joshua Trippin. So if you want to re-listen to this experience or rewatch it, this will also go on YouTube, also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the streaming platforms. You can just type in Just Trek Podcast and you'll find it on any of them. Make sure to follow us. And just thank you all for being in this gathering right now. It's really special to myself and to the guests and the listeners and everybody that's rallied around this show for the past 5 years. We've had over 82 guests. We've done over 40 Instagram lives. And there's even people in the crowd that will be future guests on the show that I don't want to reveal. And also, real quick, if you were a previous guest on the show and you are in attendance, please stand up and raise your hand.
Yeah.
Mark Nieto, episode 1, hiker fighter who asked the question. Tomasa with her golden retriever. She was our top episode of 2024. Linda Don, don't be hiding. Linda, stand up. She's the designer of the Just Trek logo. Come on, stand up, don't be shy. And to the right, my man Mark Feichel, Just Trek crew. Who else did we have on the pod? Please raise your hand because I can't remember everybody here. Anyways, regardless, thank you everyone for being here. We're going to get into the raffle within 5 minutes. We'll take a quick 5-minute break. We'll have the DJs playing. I think we have Synergy coming up. We have over $3,000 in raffle contest prizes, y'all. So stick around because you got to be present in order to redeem it. Also, thank you to our sponsors, the beverage sponsors, Parch. We have June Shine, Easy Rider, Keen, All Trails, Topa Designs, Highlander Adventure, Parks Project, absolutely. And once again, thank you so much for supporting this show, supporting our guests, and all the listeners. Thank you for showing all the love. It really means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out Justin.
Yes. Woo, Justin.
Got hella emotional at the end. Jeez, guys.
Justin, you're the one making all this possible. I mean, look what you created. This is amazing. So, shout out you.
Can we sing happy birthday to you?
Oh my God.
I was just about to
Happy
ask.
birthday. All right, I don't know how to sing well, so.
Hum, warm it up, warm it up, warm it up. 3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Justin. Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
And happy birthday, Just Trek, the podcast.
Same birthday, y'all. Launch the podcast on the birthday, so they're forever intertwined.
And thank you guys too as well.
All right. Let's get on up. Let's start dancing, and we'll do this raffle contest in 5 minutes. And also, make sure to grab some food from Chef G, the pop-up over there. He got some really elevated snacks over there. Please support him as well. Support the drinks, and let's get this party popping.